This is going to be my second David Lynch film that I've seen, and that is 1986's Blue Velvet, written and directed by David Lynch. This A lot of people look at this film as his redemption arc or his redemption from his Dune that he made in 1984, which I have not seen, so I'm not going to comment on that whether it is true or not. But I think this is an excellent film, and let's dive into that. So this film has obviously received a ton of praise over the years, and that's really what drawn me to it. I want to watch more of his later works. Obviously, that's coming up. I'm going through now a big marathon of David Lynch's movies. So I'm excited to see his later work, and I think those stuff kind of gets more stranger as it goes along. I'm not gonna say lost in the sauce because I think he is a very great artist. But I think that's not probably, if you're not really too familiar with his work, I don't think it'd be a great way to really delve into that work. So that's why I want to check out his earlier stuff and see what's about it. And this is obviously a film that absolutely blew me away. So it stars Kyle MacLachlan, who's been in a lot of his works, Twin Peaks. He is Jeffrey, who basically seemingly is like a stand-up guy in this small town of Limberton. It's literally Limberton. Like just like, is there a town in Alberta, Oil Town or something? Like it's just okay. This is your industry, so it's a very kind of that quaint small town feel to it. And he seems to be like a guy that's got his head over his shoulders. I kind of was confused by his age because it doesn't seem like he's in high school. He's dating a high school girl, of course, played by Lauren Dern, who does an excellent job in this film. And he's a guy that is walking one day into the back country and finds this weird ear that is kind of molding over and looks like it was cut off, seemingly by someone. So he brings that to the police and is like, I think we should probably investigate this. Like, this seems quite suspicious. And then he meets Lauren Dern, and who tells her theories and kind of the hub of what's going around town. And it's assumed that it's this jazz singer named Dorothy, who is played by Elizabeth Rossini. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name in any way, but he assumes it's her, so he creates a ruse to essentially get into the apartment by pretending to be an exterminator. He sees a set of keys, steals them, thinks, okay, I'll just wait till she's working, and then I'll slip in there, and maybe we'll get some confirmation. Maybe there's a body or something weird is definitely amiss, but he assumes it'll be her. So one day while she's out working, he breaks into her apartment, and then all of a sudden starts hearing the keys fiddle. He slides into the closet, and that's really where the film picks up. And again, for me, most of my movie reviews are going to include spoilers, and I recommend, if you're going to watch a review of a movie, you probably should watch it. Maybe if you don't care about getting spoiled, then watch it, whatever. But I don't. Why would you want to be spoiled of a film that could be great or could be excellent? Might not experience it the way the filmmaker want you to experience it. So this will get into spoilers. Essentially, he's in the closet. She's doing things that you'd do if you're just got off work. You know, she gets down, gets into her underwear, makes some phone calls. She realizes there's someone in here, and she starts getting upset at him. Like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Like, you're a pervert. Like, get the hell out of here. Why are you in my closet watching me get undressed? And all these sorts of things. But she kind of almost is like, he's kind of cute though. He's not like the idealized version of who you think would be breaking into your apartment to watch you get dressed or whatever. He's Kyle MacLachlan, a very good looking guy. You see her kind of switch, and she's like, okay, well, you get naked then. If you saw me naked, all right, it's your turn. But then through that, then comes Dennis Hopper, who is a fucking treat in this movie. I know he plays an absolute dick and degenerate, awful human being, but I can't get enough of the amount of just, you fucking fuck. This the amount of time that he just uses the word fuck is amazing in this movie. And he's just this essential douchebag who abuses this woman and takes advantage of her, obviously. And then he kind of infuriates and finds out that he is actually holding her son kidnapped, who he cut off the ear of. And but let's get into some of the great elements. And Kyle MacLachlan, I think I'll give one thing. The first 20 to 25 minutes, I thought his acting was a bit rough, and I know he's a great actor. So I was kind of, maybe it was just was I couldn't really get into the character enough yet, but I just kind of thought some of the line reads were a bit stale and just didn't really have that feel like when he's on that walk with Lauren Dern, and he's giving him some information about himself, and you kind of learn some more stuff about him in the town, and things like that. I thought it was like, this is not great. So, but it definitely picks up after that closet scene, and Kyle MacLachlan's character, he starts to kind of develop a relationship between two girls. So there's kind of this love triangle issue at it, and Kyle starts really heavily investigating this guy. Starts taking pictures of him. They're realizing that there's some corruption on the police force. What a shock! And I think there's an absolutely excellent scene when Kyle is visiting Dorothy, and they're just having a nice time that two adults would have. And then all of a sudden, as they're walking out, that's when Dennis Hopper's character runs into him, and he's like, "We're going for a fucking joyride, a fucking joyride." And this is just an amazing film. This is definitely from comparably to like Eraserhead, and from things I've heard from Twin Peaks and his other films. This is, I would say, a lot more of a normal kind of contemporary story ish for him. But the thing about David Lynch is David Lynch's style is still going to bleed through. I've heard a quote about where it's like David Lynch. There's an ear in a David Lynch film versus a Quentin Tarantino film, where Quentin Tarantino will just show someone getting their ear cut off and kind of the pain and the suffering that goes through that happening. But what David Lynch is going to do is he's going to show you what is the ear. He's going to go into the ear. And I thought there were so many interesting transitioning shots. Cinematography in this film, I wouldn't say is anything that is new or spectacular or something you haven't seen before, but it really works. I think the lighting in this film is absolutely excellent. There's so many great mood lighting amongst these characters. Overall, this film just tells a very compelling story of crime, and I think also too, it really sets into one thing from Jeffrey, and definitely one scene I think where I definitely have related to this, where it seems like this world seems to reward people like Dennis Hopper's character, who kind of is a representative of kind of evil masculinity, and just those kind of angry guys who take the world out on anyone who is probably showing them a lot of love and kindness. He is a beautiful woman who is very talented. He sings for her. I think he seemingly makes money off of her, and he's just going to abuse her. There also seems to be a lot of interesting stuff on sexual frustration, and sex while hurting someone, and it's sex while demeaning someone or saying, like, "I fucking hate you," and that's what's getting you off. And I think there's a lot of interesting things to kind of unpack there and question why this could be happening. And it is a really hard thing to answer, and this film doesn't really have an answer for it, but it just kind of shows that it's like that there's Kyles out there, or sorry, Jeffries. I'm kind of slipping in between of using his character's name and the actor's name, sorry. But Jeffrey, who seemingly is a good kid, but he seems to be having a very trivial time in his life because he's trying to do the right thing. He's not like these police officers who are slounging at the job and are just like, "Oh, there's an ear. Well, hopefully we'll get to it, after we help some grandma take a cat out of a tree or whatever." Like, so there's people like that are trying to do good, that are trying to make a better world for people, and seemingly might not have the most success at it or success in life doing that. When you look at Dennis Hopper's character, you see someone who, had a decent car, has business, has some friends, has all this stuff, but he's a complete asshole and a complete dick to everything that's good in his life. But he is still seemingly able to be successful in it. And but at the end, who I guess you could say the good guy wins in a way, which is, I don't know, kind of a more optimistic hope and an ending for a David Lynch film. But yeah, this film was just absolutely spectacular. I think this is probably, for a lot of people, if you'd probably be too scared of Eraserhead or any of his maybe more experimental or stranger films, that this is a really great way to, you can still feel that writing. There's something that someone else, that they wrote this story, would not be able to be achieved like the way that it is when David Lynch is behind the pen. And so I'm so glad that this film came out. It was somewhat successful and definitely very highly praised, and I think that's what has kept David Lynch in relevance, and for him to continue to craft some more amazing, great works. And so hopefully in the next few weeks I'll get to talking more about those. I did actually recently today. I did watch Elephant Man. I really don't know if there's much I can speak about that film. Yeah, I'm still kind of. I always like to watch a film and wait a few days to kind of really nail down my thoughts and opinions on them. But so hopefully maybe we'll get to that one day. But I'm definitely going to be getting to more of David Lynch's work, and so I'm going to give this film a 9.2 out of 10. I really highly recommend it. I'm so thank you guys for watching this video, and have a good one.